Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to repeat something I saw Clint Darden say the other day on Facebook, and I thought it was pretty funny because every time we talk about doing these lift variations or box squats or chain or band lifts or using different bars, everyone comes in and yeah, but you're going to forget how to perform your lifts. You're not going to be able to do a back squat anymore, right? Everybody says this nonsense who doesn't use this system. For those of us who don't even always perform our classic lifts and we come in and do these variations to maxes and then supplemental work. But that's nonsense. It's not true. And the reason I say that, people have some weird idea that squat, bench, and deadlift are like highly technical exercises. They aren't. Okay. You can build yourself up to where you can potato squat 500 pounds with bad form, right? With bad form. And when I say bad form, I don't mean muscle weaknesses to where you fold over like a taco because you don't have any core strength. I'm talking about with just bad form, like without caring what it looks like, without bracing correctly, without finding your ideal footing, right? If you get up to where you can potato squat 500, you could have a really good coach come in and put 5% more on your squat. They could teach you how to squat and take your 500 and turn it into 525. Okay, but they're not going to turn your 500 into 600. Same thing on the bench press. If you can get over and just brute strength potato press up 300 pounds, you're going to get up to 315, 320 with some proper instruction and good form. Okay, that's what's going to happen. Now, that being said, these are not high skill exercises. And Clint laughed about that and said, look, if you already know how to squat, bench, and deadlift, if you think you're going to forget these exercises while you're training these other movements, you're insane and you obviously have no experience, basically. He basically called people clowns, politely, because Clint's a polite guy. That basically, you just don't know what you're talking about. You probably don't really lift. And yes, there are people in the high specificity circles, and I did buy into that logic for a while. Then I figured out these guys are all right who are saying the opposite, right? All these lifters who do the opposite, I realized they're right, I'm wrong, right? And then I put it to use. What did I do last year? Because I had pulled an erector from some other stuff and then started squatting in. I couldn't squat for just a little bit. My squat dropped down to 135 and I had to rebuild it. Rehab my low back and all that. Got my back squat back up to 425, right? After having been doing 485 every day the year before. 425. Then I started box squatting. I didn't do a single back squat heavier than 425. Went over to box squatting, bands, chains, all this stuff. I did a box squat, did 440, right? 440 box squat raw. Then I built all my stuff up, and everyone says that's not going to carry over. I got to where I was doing 405 with 100 pounds of chains, 425 with 80 pounds of chains, all this stuff. And over the course of 4 months, I tested my raw box squat again, and it went from 440 up to 502 without having even performed it again other than with bands and chains. Okay, 62-pound increase. All done on camera. All my training was documented. Then everybody came in and said, but Jason, all those box squats, even though you got a 502 raw box squat, that doesn't matter. It doesn't mean you can back squat. Then I walk in and do a back squat, having done no back squats, and hit 522. I come in and hit a 522 back squat without having done a single back squat in 10 months. The last one had been 425. Not one. What is the heaviest squat I have ever hit on camera? 508. And that was years ago while back abroad, right? So without having done a single back squat, I walk in and do 522. Now what do you guys see me doing? Going up over 500 with tons of chain weight. Like you'll see here at the end of this one. 502 with 92 pounds of chains on it. And the same thing, the same people who watched me do that same thing with box squats and turn a 440 into a 502 are standing here saying, well, all that chain squatting is not going to you're not going to build a back squat. Really, because when I went from 405 with 100 pounds of chains up to a 502 raw inside of 8 weeks, that didn't happen. And then that 502 box squat, when I walked over to a back squat, was a 522 without having practiced the lift at all. Okay, it's not going to carry over. You guys see the problem with this logic? There's a problem with this logic. And you guys watched me dispel it this year. Same thing, deadlifts. Did I do any conventional pulling? No. No conventional pulls. Box squats, rows, good mornings, sumo deadlifts. Then I walk in and start conventional deadlifting. You guys have seen what my conventional deadlifts are. You saw the ones right there in this one. Just watch me pull 575 with a bunch of chains piled on it. Okay. Where are we going with this? That it carries over. All right. If you know how to perform a conventional deadlift, you're going to have a strong conventional deadlift if you build all the muscles around it. A strong person is a strong person. Now, the difference is an upper body bro is not going to have a strong squat or a deadlift because they're not strong. Okay? They're not strong. Because a strong person is strong top to bottom. And, that's what I say. If a guy bench presses 405, but he doesn't squat or deadlift, and that's his best lift, he is weaker than a guy who deadlifts 500, right? He's weaker because his best lift, because he only uses his upper body, is weaker than what that guy pulls. But that aside, a strong person is a strong person. I said this for a long time. This last year I said it, and people said, oh, that's not true. That's not true. Well, then I did all these other things and proved it. Swapped back over to back squat, swapped over to conventional deadlift, and my lifts had all gone up dramatically without practicing them. Just close enough variations. Same thing. Even now, what do you guys see me do? Do I do any volume work on a squat, bench, or deadlift? No. I just do heavy singles with variations. All those variations are going up. Why? Because I'm practicing maxes, and I do tons of hypertrophy work. Because barring people having major weak links, barring excessive anabolic abuse, a bigger muscle is a strong muscle. Yes, we could argue that size to strength ratios get distorted by gear when your doses get really high. Yeah, that's true. We could argue that synthol and side injections, which is a lot of the size you see on a lot of these bodybuilders, the reason their arms are so big, not muscle. Yeah, we could argue that that doesn't make you stronger, but generally speaking, a bigger muscle has more strength potential. And a 1 rep max is a 1 rep max. Okay? If you get good at maxing on one type of squat, you're going to get good at maxing on all types of squats. The exception might be a squat that uses less muscle. Okay, we could argue that a bunch of front squatting isn't going to make you good because a front squat uses less muscles. I keep having people ask me about front squats. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not interested. I'm not an Olympic lifter, and I don't have a harness. That being said, there's no reason for me to ever do a front squat. It doesn't build as much muscle or as much strength. It just doesn't use as many muscles, guys. Sorry, that's a fact. People don't want to hear that. They want to keep doing their front squats. Get a harness. If you're racking them, though, it's going to interfere with the rest of your training. If you're going to good power clean, do a front squat. But if you don't care about your power clean, I don't know why you're front squatting. Just my opinion. I'm not saying it's a bad exercise. It's good exercise. I think it's overrated. But you guys are not going to forget how to do your movements. If you get good at box squatting, your back squat's going to go up. If you get good at sumo deadlifting with chains, your conventional deadlift is still going to improve. You're not going to forget how to perform basic exercises. Okay? You can do tons of floor pressing and your bench press will probably go up. Okay? This is nonsense. And tons of good coaches have tried to tell everybody this. They've proven it themselves repeatedly. I just did all my stuff with it and proved it to my audience. And yet people still want to argue about this nonsense. You guys have been repeatedly proven incorrect. Okay, repeatedly. You don't need high specificity training on low skill exercises that you are already proficient at. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.